Oh. Hello YouTube. It is another boring, lonely Saturday night at the truck stop. And I was gonna make a video, or I said I was gonna make a video talking about this lady who I used to work with, who was literally so dumb that she gave me a panic attack. But this week has kind of sucked, and I don't really want to make it suck any more than it already does. So I'm gonna tell a story about like a more hopeful, dumb version of myself. So, sorry, somebody just turned on their lights. I was like, what are you doing? So, this story is about how I skipped school my first day of public school ever. Many of y'all may know I did not go to public school until the 10th grade. And when I finally got to go to public school, I'd been homeschooled for all the time, so I really didn't know much about anything that you were supposed to do, like anything at all. And I went to like a private Christian school for a couple days a week for a while. They were like half days, and don't spend all your money on some bullshit private Christian school that won't get you anywhere. It was really bullshit, but that's another story for another day. So I get on the bus, I meet my stupid neighbor who I never met before. It was also another story for another day. And I got to school. It wasn't going great, but I was making it through, I was pushing through, and I was kind of like bungling from class to class, asking a bunch of questions that made other people wonder about my general sanity, because I just didn't know anything about public school at all. And I finally made it to the middle of the day, and that was like during my Spanish class, Spanish 1. I actually really liked that class, and I really liked my teacher. She was like cool as fuck, which is not something that you'll hear me say very often, sorry to say. But it was like halfway through the Spanish class, and they were like, oh, it's lunchtime now. So the bell rang, and it's like, that's us, this is our lunch. And there were 4 lunches at my school, and this lunch was third lunch, but I didn't really know how it worked, and I tried to ask, but I just kind of like got ignored and shooed away. And I was like, but I've never been to public school before, and I really need to know, shoot! And so I just followed everyone else down to lunch. I sat alone. It was like a painfully long period of time, but at least I wasn't in class, so I was cool with that. And then the bell rang, and everybody got up, and I was like, okay, so now's the point where I really need to know, and I should find someone to ask again. Where am I going? Do I go back to the class I just came from? Do I go to the class I'm supposed to go to next? Like, what exactly is happening here? So I found like the teacher who was monitoring, there we go, the lunch. And I was like, hey, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Am I supposed to go back to the class I just came from? Or am I supposed to go to my next class? I'm not really sure. And that person was like, go to your next class. Just go away. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to go to my next class. That sounds great. And so I have like my little piece of paper, my maps, the room number, and the class description, all that crap, and I get to the class that is supposedly my next class, and the teacher was like, "What are you doing here? You don't belong in this class." And I was like, "Well, this paper says that I belong in this class. I just came from lunch and they told me to come to this class. So what should I do?" They're like, "I don't know. I don't care. You don't belong to my class. Go back to lunch." So I was like, oh, well, this person told me to go back to lunch. Nobody wants to tell me what the fuck's going on, so I guess I'm just gonna go back to lunch. I think I did try to find my way back to the Spanish class just to ask that teacher again, but I got lost, and somebody found me in the hall and were like, "What are you doing? Go back to lunch." And I was like, well, fucking fine then. I'm not gonna try to figure this out. I'm just gonna go to lunch like a good little bitch because that's what you told me to do. Whatever. And so I went back to lunch, and it was fourth lunch, and that was the final lunch, so all the new people came into lunch. They were like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "I don't fucking know." And then got sent back out, and I was like, okay, now is when I go to my next class. And that was like an issue because I went back to the class before and they were like, "You're not supposed to be here," and it was like a whole thing that needed to be sorted out. So I got home, and like my mom wasn't there yet. She had this like bullshit job that she did, and she was at her bullshit job, and when she came home she was like, "You were skipping class." And I was like, "I'm skipping? What are you talking about? I don't just skip no class. I went to school like I was supposed to. It's my first day of school. You're not gonna be like, 'Hi honey, how did your first day of school go?' with all of a sudden it's now, 'Oh, you're a bad kid who's skipping class.' Like, what the fuck are you talking about?" And so I went back to school the next day, and I got to Spanish class, and the teacher was just like, "Lola," because I was like my stupid Spanish name. I don't know why. It was my stupid Spanish name in kindergarten too. Why did you skip class?" And I was like, "I didn't skip class. I was at lunch like you told me to be." And then I tried to make my way back here, and they told me to go back to lunch, so I did. And she had called my mom, freaking out. "Oh, I lost your daughter." Like, she just called her and was like, "She's missing and no one knows where she is. Ah!" She must have been new or something. Oh boy. She was a sweet lady, but it was the whole debacle. And that's the story about how I became the troublemaker who skipped class on their first day of school ever. I hope you enjoyed my stupid story, and hopefully you're watching this not on Saturday night because you're not sitting around in the dark by yourself on Saturday night like me. See you next time. Bye.